Hello again, everyone, and happy Super Bowl Sunday. This is the KMN 1971, back on track with another comic book stack. Special shout out to all my comic book geeks in the New England area. It is either Christmas or Doomsday for us today, my friends. But, oh, and there goes my refrigerator. If anyone was ever wondering what that background noise is in all my videos, it's my refrigerator, which always seems to click on no matter what time it is when I decide to cut a video. So, moving on, away from the Super Bowl talk, because this isn't about football, this is about comics. So I usually kick off my comic book hauls with dollar bin biscuits, but what's better than a dollar bin biscuit? Books that you don't pay anything for. So the next couple of books I'm going to show you are from an order that went awry. Basically, I was sent the completely the wrong stuff. So the seller on eBay was kind enough to not only reimburse me for everything right away, but also just had me keep the comics because it was only like a $10 order. So I guess with the shipping and handling, it wasn't really worth it for them because these are basically just maybe dollar bin comics. So, but I'm a huge Elektra fan, and to pick these books up for free, I mean, it was great. Elektra was the original femme fatale that taught me what a femme fatale was, and I've been a fan of her since Frank Miller's Daredevil run. So to pick these up with these awesome Greg Horn covers for free, it was a pretty good deal. And I've read the first two issues, and it is a good read. Brian Michael Bendis definitely excels at writing street-level characters. I'm psyched that he's going to be writing the New Defenders. It's the first series that I'm actually excited for him to be writing since Daredevil. I know that he's extremely popular with Marvel readers, but for me, ever since where he hopped off Daredevil and went on to the New Avengers and started writing crossovers, I think his writing has really gone down. He is great at setup, he is great at dialogue, but as far as pacing goes, and even some of his dialogue, sometimes especially in the superhero group dynamic, it seems like everyone is sharing a collective hive mind, if you will. But I think he'll do great going back to writing street-level characters. And ironically, I will be picking up the new Guardians of the Galaxy, mainly because Brian Michael Bendis will not be writing that title. So, all right, long-winded point over. Elektra number 1, number 2, and these all have just outstanding Greg Horn covers. A very underappreciated cover artist as far as I'm concerned. Number 3, I mean, look at that. Crazy. Number 4, and call me a traditionalist, but I just prefer this costume to the new costume that they have her wearing that is more in tune to the Netflix series. But within the Marvel Universe, I mean, doesn't she kind of look like Silk? I'm not sure. Well, actually, I am sure. She does look like Silk. Number 5, 6, 7. Love this cover. Number 8. And 9. So, sometimes mistakes do pay. Once in a great while. Now, onto the dollar bin biscuits. Conan the Barbarian, number 244. Once again, this is from the era where they were trying to reinvigorate the sales on Conan the Barbarian. They brought back Roy Thomas, and they had a bunch of A-list artists do the covers for them. This is another Steve Lytle cover. And number 248, that is an Art Adams cover. So, pretty cool for a buck piece. Kazar, the Savage, Tarzan's stepbrother. No, I'm just kidding. But I've never owned any issues of Kazar. So I remember this one actually being kind of a wall book at one of my comic book shops way back when I was a little kid. And I never checked it out. So just based on that nostalgia, when I came across this in a dollar bin at a good grade, I figured why not? Why not try it out? First Kazar comic in the collection. Probably the last too. These last two are also from the dollar bin. Batman Adventures, number 18. I just picked it up for the Batgirl cover, basically, for $1. I mean, no Harley appearances or anything, but some of these old Batman Adventure comics are pretty cool. As is the case with this one. Number 25, Batman Adventures. It's an anniversary issue, double size, World Finest-esque type team up with Batman and Superman, and even I guess Superman even had the super mullet in the animated adventures for a little while back in the 90s. Crazy. Can't contain the super mullet. All right. Picked this one up off the newsstand this week. Well, newsstand. The comic rack this week. Wolverine versus the Hulk, True Believers, #1. Only $1, and that's all you should pay for it. But believe it or not, on eBay, there was a seller on there selling it for like $4 plus $6 shipping, and quite a few people picked it up already. I was a little surprised. But anytime this classic story is reprinted, I always pick it up. I have the Marvel Milestone edition. I have the Hulk versus Wolverine edition that came out in the 1980s with the John Byrne wraparound cover. So just a classic story, a classic piece of comic book history of one of the greatest, probably pretty much my favorite character, him and Batman. So it's good to be able to pick up a Wolverine comic, a new Wolverine comic, even if it is a reprint. Bring him back, Marvel. Kind of a hot book alert. Batgirl #6. This was another heads up from the CBSI community. I ended up reading it on there that this book is going for between 3 and 4 times that of cover, which is correct. And when I checked the listings last night, there was actually, a couple of these that went for $15, $20. Why? I guess it's just, this is the B cover done by Francis Manipool, and just a beautiful cover. And it also contains the first appearance of the Penguin's son, which, big deal. Take it for what you will. But if you can find this on the newsstand, why not pick it up? And I picked it up basically for the cover. All right, out of the long boxes, I'm still working on my David Finch Moon Knight run, so Moon Knight #5. And #9, which, after I ended up getting it home, I realized that David Finch doesn't do the interiors, but I'm still cool with it because I just happen to really enjoy anytime the Moon Knight and the Punisher team up. These next couple of books are from Midtown Comics. Now, if you go all the way back to my very first video, my very first horribly shot video, should I say, one of the first books that I showcased was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, #1. And I have yet to read it because there was no way I was going to start an Alan Moore pen story without knowing when I would get the rest of the story in. So the rest of the miniseries popped up on my Midtown list, so I snagged it up this week. So here's #2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I am psyched. I have not been able, I haven't read any Alan Moore stuff in probably about 2 or 3 years, so I'm really looking forward to finally being able to get to read these. And also the last book from Midtown, I ended up picking up Batman 66 #1, just a standard cover, but being as huge a Batman fan as I am, I don't have any Batman stories that have the Adam West inspired Batman, so I had to have at least one, and it was a pretty good read. It was pretty funny. I would like to get the variant edition of this one also, but for now this is pretty cool. Werewolf by Night #29. I haven't picked up any of these in a while just because I kind of snatched up all the ones that were priced well and graded well. There are still more in my area, but they're really banged up and they still want premium prices for it. So whenever I can find one that's not banged up and at a decent price, I definitely pick it up. And check out the name of the villain on the cover. I haven't read this yet, but Dr. Glitter Knight. Whew, that would make me shake in my boots, Dr. Glitter Knight. Then again, if you're crazy enough to call yourself Dr. Glitter Knight, maybe that would make me shake in my boots. Justice League of America #148. Anytime that you have the Justice League, the Justice Society, and Legion of Superheroes involved in a storyline together, that all but guarantees that I will give up my money to see what's going on in between those covers. Justice League of America #143. Aside from the X-Men, the Justice League, I have probably the most books as far as superhero team, as far as quantity goes in my collection. I probably have a little over a long box and a half of Justice League America comics, and I love the Justice League. So, Justice League of America, number 143, Wonder Woman versus Superman. As the Marvel Zombies used to say, enough said. Unfortunately, as was the case with both of those Justice League books, though, Volume 1 I'm not much of a fan of. It's just the art I find is pretty lackluster. The storytelling is probably a generation behind. Basically pick them up for the nostalgia, or anytime I see a JLA JSA team up. But I truly became a JLA fan during the Keith Giffen era during the 1980s of Justice League Volume 2, and I've been a steady fan ever since. This was also a high point of the franchise, in my opinion, when Brad Meltzer and Ed Benes were on the title, and they also had these stellar Michael Turner covers. So this is Justice League of America number 1 from their 2006 series, Michael Turner variant, which I would pick this one up. I mean, people are paying premiums for his sketches that Aspen has dolled up. And I'm not dogging you if you did it all. Good for you, man. But I would rather, for the money spent, I would rather have a finished piece of Michael Turner artwork when he was in his prime. And this is one of his better covers, just because it has Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman featured prominently centered. Also Black Canary, Black Lightning, Hal Jordan. I mean, the only one that I don't really like on here is Red Arrow. For some reason, I just do not like Roy Harper. Never have. But beautiful cover. For $7 or $8, how can you turn that away? As usual, a couple of Deadpool comics in this run. Deadpool Suicide Kings, number 1. It's not really worth anything. Once again, just regular long box stuff. But I don't know anything about this miniseries, and anytime I can pick up a decent Deadpool story, I try to do it. From his second volume, which is probably my least favorite volume. I don't know. I'm just not a Daniel Way guy, I guess. But I love his first volume. I love the third volume, which made me a fan. And don't get me wrong, I do like the second volume too. But when I do a compare and contrast to the other volumes, this one's the weaker one out of the 4 so far, in my opinion. Anyway, obviously I don't dislike it that much. I'm still picking them up here and there. So Deadpool number 38. How can I resist Deadpool versus the Hulk? If you want to call it that. Deadpool was actually just trying to get the Hulk to kill him in the story arc. So Deadpool number 39. I also picked up a couple from his first volume. Really happy about this one. Deadpool number 4, tough black cover, high grade, half price. It seems like it just seems like one out of the 4 comic book shops I have, there's always a sale going on in at least one of them. So I picked this one up for half price, and this one I picked up from another comic book shop, full price, but this was only $10. Deadpool number 5. And now with that, I will have Deadpool 1 through 5 of his first volume. So, chipping away. Another volume that I'm working on, Gotham City Sirens, of course. And I picked this one up for $7. In today's day and age, if you can get any Gotham City Sirens issues for under $10, I think that's a pretty good deal, especially in a high grade. My stealth buy of the week goes to the Thanos Quest, number 1. It was in the Marvel miscellaneous section. First print, high grade, $5. You're not going to find that anywhere for $5. I'm still on the hunt for number 2, but off to a good start. For considering that should have been in my collection years ago. The Transformers, number 1. Now, I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. I was a huge Masters of the Universe fan, but I was never a big Transformers fan. That was more my brother, who was 5 years younger than me. But because of him, I used to watch all the cartoons, and I was never a fan of the series either, but this was another one. I think it was $20, half price, $10, high grade Transformers number 1. It was on my 80s list, so I picked it up. This is the only Transformers comic I own, and for $20, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, but for $10, I will pick this up all day long, just based on that awesome Bill Sienkiewicz cover. Now, going back to one of my other comic book shops, the one that just bought that collection that I told you about last week, that just about all the books in there were $20 a pop. So I picked this one up, Batgirl Adventures #1. This was another one of those books that was on my Harley list, so I didn't want to pay $35 for it at my other comic book shop, and I didn't want to pay eBay prices for it. So for $20, it was a no-brainer. And the last book in last book in the haul, Shazam #25. I wanted to say this was a very fine, but as I just put this on camera, I noticed it does have like a little 30 written in the TV box up there, unfortunately, so that would probably bring it down to a fine plus, but this is a pretty, I mean, aside from that writing, this is a very high-grade copy of this book, and I didn't know that it was so sought after either. So I picked this one up for $20 also, and I'm not a huge Shazam fan, but they are going to have a Shazam movie. They are going to have a Black Adam movie allegedly also. So with those two characters, I wouldn't be surprised to see Isis up on the big screen either. I mean, controversial name obviously right now, but and I used to despise it. I used to despise both of these characters back when I was a little kid. I used to hate their segment that they had, their little show that they had during the Saturday morning cartoons. I used to watch it, don't get me wrong, but I did become a fan of Isis when during the 52 weekly series. I thought that they did a great job with their character there. She was a tragic character, and I'd like to see her come back in some form in the DC universe. And even if they brought her into the cinematic universe, I think that would be a great way to flip off the terrorist organization, right? And who doesn't like flipping off terrorist organizations? So that's all I have for this week. I will be back next week, hopefully not depressed after the Super Bowl. I hope not. But I would just like to thank everybody for subscribing, for watching. Oh, yeah, that's right. I went over 200 subscribers this week. So thank you so much for that. I just started shooting videos last September, so thank you so much for that support. And considering that I take pride in my videos for never asking anyone to like any of my videos or to subscribe to my channel, I just figured if you like what I'm putting out there, I wanted to leave it completely up to you and make it a 100% independent decision on the viewer's part if they wanted to subscribe or like or comment or whatever. So it is very much appreciated. A slight correction from last week when I was describing, I was trying to describe the fourth wall, but I made a reference saying that it was the fifth wall when talking about ambush bug. So I don't know. Sometimes I open up my mouth and things just come out incorrectly. So I just wanted to correct that. So yeah, that's all I have. So once again, thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for the steady subscribers. Thank you for commenting, interacting, liking, all that good stuff. I will be back next week. Same comic book time, same comic book channel. So until then, peace out. Take it easy. Go Pats, please.